Okay, welcome to today's Livewire. I'm Jared Moore, and as usual on Livewire, we're going to be able to take questions about the topic from the chat. So if you're a citizen out there and you have a question about the topic we're talking about today, just pop it in the chat. We'll try to get it answered. Today we're going to be talking with Brittany Fry Kaler from Mvskoke Creek Nation Realty Trust Services. They are having a presentation on Wednesday, July 7th from 1 p.m. to 3 p.m. at the River Spirit Casino and Resort, covering trespass issues, probate, rights-of-way, leasing, partitions, and quiet title suits, all covering trust lands. So thanks for joining us today, Miss Kaler. And is I'm pronouncing that right, Miss Kaler?
Uh-huh.
And why don't you just tell us a little bit about the event and the importance of the topics?
Okay. We actually try to do this every time that we host an intertribal. We believe that it's important for everybody to know the difference between fee property and restricted or trust property. There's different rules and regulations for restricted and trust property versus state fee land or regularly owned land. So it's really important for us to get citizens out and that own restricted or trust property to know exactly what they're dealing with and some of the issues that come up and how we can help them with those issues.
Let's say that maybe a citizen doesn't keep up to date on these topics. You know, what bad could happen that could come out of that?
Well, one of the most important things is condemnation. If you don't stay on top of your land, it can be condemned because of the 47 Act. Restricted property is under state jurisdiction. It goes by state rules, so condemnation is still in play. So adjoining landowners can adversely possess your property. You could have people have squatters' rights. There's all sorts of things that could affect your property if you're not on it.
So for audience members that maybe don't know or are curious about this, what is restricted trust property? Like could you give kind of like in a nutshell what it is and how it's different from just regular property rights?
Well, restricted property is property handed down from an original allottee. When an Indian was allotted property during the Dawes Act and enrollment, that property stayed in the family and was handed down from generation to generation, and it's still restricted today. For the most part, it's not subject to taxation, and for the most part, we handle everything that has to do with the property as far as leasing, trespass issues, partitions, anything like that, probates. But like I said, there are some state laws like adverse possession, condemnation, things like that. Now, trust property is a little bit different. Anybody who's a Native American can own trust property, and the title's held USA in trust for that individual or for the tribe. And it's completely under federal jurisdiction, federal law, federal regulation, completely tax exempt, completely just separate from state law or jurisdiction.
So the trust property, everything having to do with that would go through the BIA or the federal government. Is that the idea?
Yes, we are a compact tribe, so our office actually still handles everything that has to do with trust property, but the secretary for the Bureau of Indian Affairs signs off on it. So we still do all of the paperwork, legwork, everything that has to do with both restricted and trust property, they just sign off on it.
Has anything changed since the McGregor decision for you guys? Has there been any major structural changes to how you do things, or are you seeing more of a caseload, anything like that related to the McGregor decision?
Yeah, I would. We have a bigger caseload just as far as people wanting to probate. We have a bigger caseload as far as more jurisdictional checks, more boundary checks, more address checks, and things like that. Not only from Whitehorse, but from the solicitor's office, from other outside entities.
So, have you guys brought on more staff? Is it that type of issue, or are you guys doing okay with what you have?
No, we have not brought on more staff.
Okay. So if a citizen has a problem with their trust property or whatever, can they just make an appointment with you guys to come in, or is this event like the only opportunity? Like one of if they go to these events, is that the only way they're going to get the information, or can they just come in? What are their options?
Absolutely. We have people walk in all day long. We stop what we're doing. We will help you come in. We will make every effort to make sure everything gets fixed.
And for the audience, if you're just joining our live stream right now, the flyer for this event, there's a link in the video description. You can click it and get the flyer for the event we're talking about. It's a presentation being done by Mvskoke Nation Realty Trust Services on July 7th at the River Spirit Casino. If there is something that you could tell just the average citizen that maybe is like, oh, why should I be concerned about this or whatever, what would you tell them about these property issues?
As far as the average citizen, I would say you should be concerned because you never know what you're going to inherit. You don't know what you're going to inherit from Uncle Bob or Aunt Sally, or even what your parents own. A lot of times people don't know what their parents own restricted or trust property or an interest in.
Yeah, and that inheriting would be, as you were talking about before, you guys have seen an uptick in the probate. And
yes.
For the audience, like that's the process. It's not, and it sounds like it's going to rain, so we're getting rain here. So, on with the trust property issues, when you guys have a citizen that comes in, is it a situation where how far does your department go? Do you refer them to legal counsel and stuff, or is it like, come on in, we're going to handle all of this process? I know you guys have to kind of like go through and get certain things signed off on by the BAIA and everything. So what is that process like? Is it like an intensive thing, or is it more like you're just giving them the information?
No, we are very hands-on. We do absolutely everything that we can. Referring them out is a last option for our office. We do everything we can for our clients. The last option for us is referring them to the solicitor's office, and they're always a great help to our clients, but that's the last option for us, or referring them to the BIA, or
we recently saw some guidance for a process for citizens to challenge things like the state income tax and ad valorem tax and stuff. That we saw some paperwork come out that citizens could download and fill out if they wanted to challenge those things. Are you guys seeing citizens come into your office and say, hey, can you guys help me? I want to challenge whatever, ad valorem or something like that. Is that something you guys are seeing since McGregor, or is it pretty much staying the same?
Not really. I think most people go to the Attorney General, but we have had an increase in people wanting their property information. Even if it's not restricted or trust property, we have people come in wanting information for their privately owned property. So we have had a lot of that.
I see. Are they trying to make sure their deeds are okay, or?
Yeah, and to make sure that they're within the boundaries, within the Creek Nation jurisdiction.
I see. So, do you guys handle any of the business side for citizens on their trust property? I know there are citizens who have trust property or restricted land that they have leased out parts of it for businesses and stuff. Do you guys handle that part of it too?
We do business leasing, surface leasing, farming and grazing, We do everything but mineral leasing. Mineral leasing is handled by the Bureau.
Okay. I think we pretty much covered it. Oh, well, we might mention, if you look at the flyer says you need to RSVP at 918-732-7713. Is that, are we past the deadline for them to RSVP, or can they still do it?
They can still call.
And that RSVP, is that a situation where there's only going to be so many seats, so you need to get in first, or is it just to let you guys know? Or
just to let us know an approximate number. We're trying to get a bigger space because we believe that there's going to be a lot more people than there were last year. So we're already in the process of trying to get a bigger space. But please call and let us know if you are going to attend, because we're trying to get an approximate number.
Great. So just before we wrap, guys, anybody who's watching it and you have any questions for the Realty Trust Services Department, just pop them into the chat. We pretty much covered. Is there anything that about the event? Oh, go ahead.
Yes. Also, on the day, all of our staff are going to have our laptops. We're going to be completely mobile, and so if you have any property issues or questions, we will be available after the presentation to talk to citizens and take their information and get with them about their property needs.
So the presentation is going to go from 1 to 3, and then you guys are going to hang out after 3?
Yeah, we're going to hang out after.
Okay. Do you know how long you'll be there available after 3, or is it going to be just till everybody's happy?
I think so, yeah.
Okay.
Just
groovy.
till we're done.
All right, and that's going to be at the River Spirit Casino in Tulsa. I can't think of any more questions. Is there anything that I might have missed that you can think of?
We'll be in meeting room 1.
Okay. If a citizen shows up at the casino, will they just be able to go to the desk and ask where it is?
Oh, yes.
Okay,
yes.
Great, awesome. Well, thanks so much, Brittany. It's been a pleasure talking to you, and this is a great topic, and I just wanted to say personally, you guys are doing a great job over there, and this is an issue that I think the average person doesn't have to deal with, but just like you were saying, it is very important because of adverse possession and all those things where people can come in, and so a lot of times trust property is very valuable property. Restricted land is even more valuable type of situation because of what you can do with it. So I encourage any citizens out there that have trust property, or even if you're relatives, if you have an older relative that has property, go talk to them about it and find out what the status of it is and everything, because one day it's going to have to be handed down, and that's one of the major important things for our tribe, is that those properties get handed down to the relatives, and they retain their status, right?
Yeah, and well, that's another thing too. Not only what you can do with trust property, it's what you can do on trust property. A lot of people don't understand what trust property is, so they don't understand that if you commit a crime on trust property, that it's going to be a federal offense. It's going to be completely different. You're going to be subject to federal charges, not state or city charges, and a lot of people don't understand that. Yeah, and federal charges in a lot of instances are going to be far more harsh than state charges are going to be. Yes. Well, while we're talking about this, what are some of the different things what are things that you could do on trust property or restricted land that you couldn't do anywhere else? Well, I mean, sorry, go ahead. Well, there are benefits, such as you can build whatever you want. You don't have to have permits. You don't have to go by city code or state code or anything like that. Pretty much do what you want. Build what you want. It doesn't matter. So, I mean, that's good in some aspects. Well, you still have to worry about federal guidelines, obviously. Yeah. So, but environmental things. Yeah. So, but business-wise, also, there are a lot of businesses that
only tribes could operate that could operate on the restricted land. For instance, in theory, a casino and so on and so forth, and or smoke shops and other things like that. So I'm drawing a blank on what I was going to ask you. Well, I think we've covered. I don't have any questions coming in from the chat. If you're watching us on the chat on YouTube right now, if you got a question, this is your last opportunity to pop it into the chat before we wrap. And are you guys going to have more events like this in the coming months?
We will, and actually we do outreaches. So we try to go at least once a month to the community centers and do outreaches for our community members. We had a lag there during COVID, but we're going to start back up and try to start going out to the community centers again.
Great. Is there something where you might have a hard schedule, or where could citizens go to find out? Would they need to go to their local community center to find out when you guys are going to be there? Or
probably.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
or they could call the office.
Yeah, and if you guys want to send us something, I'm just going to put us out there. Like we'll be more than happy to publish anywhere that you guys are going to go or anything like that.
Okay.
Or, and this is just an idea I'll throw out while we're in the stream, if you guys wanted to do every 6 months or whenever, we could do this exact same thing we're doing here and just publicize it a little bit more out in front and say, hey, citizens, if you got questions or whatever, you can come in, and then we could also pass along you guys' contact information and all that stuff through there. Do an internet outreach.
Yeah.
Oh, we've got a question. Here's the question. What are the guidelines or requirements to put land in trust?
There can't be any title issues, so you can't have a lien, you can't have a mortgage, anything like that. It has to be paid off. There can't be more than one owner. You have to be the sole owner. You can't own it with your siblings or anything like that. There can't be any environmental issues on the property. Let me think. I'm not the trust specialist in this office, but those are the ones that I could think of, the major ones right offhand. Karen Milam actually handles our trust acquisitions here in the office, so you could contact her for more details. But right offhand, I think those are the biggies.
And for the question in the chat too, if you click the link to the flyer in the description, the flyer also has the contact email for the Realty Trust Services. If your question didn't get answered, you want more in-depth specific stuff, you can send an email to that email, or you can call the RSVP number. Is that also you guys' office number?
Yes.
You can call that RSVP number on that flyer and try to get an appointment or come in and get more specific information to your situation. So with the trust property, could a citizen go out and they purchase the land and then get it put into trust? Would that be a viable process?
Yeah, you can now. You can put an application for fee to trust.
Okay, great.
Yes.
So there you go. Oh, in the chat they say thank you, so they got the information ready. All right.
Karen Milam. Call Karen Milam.
There you go. She'll give you an in-depth answer. So it looks like that's the only question we've got. So I want to thank you again for coming on the program. And anytime in the future, if you guys want to come back and have another one of these, it would be great. And because I think it's an important issue, and I think you guys are doing great work. And thanks for tuning in today. And for everybody else, we'll see you again on a future Live Wire. And you have a nice day. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.